know, when I was a baby, you know, when I grow up, I've got to remind myself, I've got to write a note somewhere that this future me, if there's reincarnation, will find that says, become a lawyer. Because if I had my choice, I would have become a lawyer. And here's why. Maybe I would go into radio and I would be a radio announcer and I did talk shows and all of that. But if you're a lawyer, you have the advantage in everything. Like, let's say I have to sign contracts. I know how to read them. I know how to interpret them. I know how to negotiate them. Right?
Right.
I don't need lawyers in a lot of cases. And if I do, they'll probably do it as a, as a kind of a pro bono thing because I'm another lawyer. Become a lawyer. That's even if you never use the law degree, you will be able to use it in many ways in whatever profession you go into. Because I'm telling you, they make big bucks. I remember when I had that fight with the Quake, and I was let go exactly. It was did they tell me not to come in? No, it was weird, but we had to sue the radio station, and they went out and got really the top lawyer in New York City to go come after me. So Gary, my business manager, says, "Well, I talked to Mr. Turtle today, and he said, yeah, that's a big law firm. So what you got to do is you got to go to L.A. and get an even bigger law firm. And that will scare them." So we went, got a lawyer in L.A., and I'm trying to remember what his name was now. Very famous show business lawyer. If I mention his name in show business, oh yeah, we know him. And he also owned part of the Los Angeles Clippers. I mean, that's how well this lawyer did. And the retainer was $20,000. But I gotta say, in the end, it was worth every penny, because the minute the other side heard that was my lawyer, they caved in. Just caved in knowing that was my lawyer.
Wow.
So, but the amount of money I paid in lawyers, I said to Gary once, I said, "Where's all my money?" He said, "Well, it went to two of your business partners." I said, "Who's that?" He says, "United States of America and your lawyers." He said, that's where most of them are. He said, and the thing is, you find that, and people say, "Oh, I wish I made a lot of money. I wish I made a lot of money." The more money you make, the more it costs you to keep. Because you suddenly got a phalanx of lawyers, accountants, whatever, to back you up. Even I had a bodyguard. I mean, it costs you money to make money, and it may not be as much as you're making, and that's the problem. So when you think about it, people you read about, she makes $1 million a year. Well, think about the lawyers, think about the agents, think about all of that, and she's not making $1 million a year.
They're probably at that point that they're looking people
You become a corporation, and you're not a lawyer. Now, if I were a lawyer, I at least would know what the lawyers were doing and whether it was good or bad. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Lawyers write contracts because they're the only ones that can understand them. That's why.
No, here's the worst part. Ready? They write the laws.
Mm-hmm.
And they write them in such a way that you can't understand them. So they have to interpret them for you.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish it were just easy peasy. Hey, you owe me money? Hey, give me the money. But, so I'm saying that people who don't have money don't have recourse. They do have recourse. They could go to legal aid or whatever, but legal aid's just a bunch of people who are going to look at your case and yawn,
Yeah, you can't get a good lawyer like in a tenant case because the lawyer's not going to make a lot of money off it. So.
Right. We have a tenant lawyer, and he's charging us $400 an hour. I happen to think he's very good and has represented us terrifically. and is worth every penny. But, I mean, it is a lot of money when we think about it, that over the last 5 years we put out $40,000. Now, that isn't a lot if you think about it. That's our rent, okay? But it's money we're gambling, because who knows if we will prevail. We probably are going to, but we don't know it for sure, so. Anyway, hey, listen, it's been a lot of fun talking to you once again, ladies and gentlemen.
Always a pleasure, my friend.
Always a pleasure. And we will talk to you again next week. How's that?
Sounds good.
Ladies and gentlemen, the person that is Larry Bubbles Brown. Okay. Listen, we're very sorry, ladies and gentlemen, that we had audio problems going on during that first part of our show. But people warned us about it, and now the audio, I think, is fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to restart the show, not the interview with Larry, but I'm going to restart the show. And the reason I'm going to restart it is so that I can have a nice, clean video going. All right, for later on, and we'll just have the second half of the show. Okay, so let me go silent for a couple of moments here, and then we will get going.
Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before, this is GABNET, the Great American Broadcast Network.
Hey, everybody. Now, see, this is the second go-around for this show, and let me see, you can see me now. The thing was, the first half hour in which we had Larry Bubbles Brown, and I wish there were a way I could play it for you again, but I don't want to bore the audiences listening to us live. But the first, on the video, not on the audio portion of our show, the audio output of our show, it was just fine. But I think the audio was okay now. Somebody just wrote, audio stinks. Would somebody please write and make sure and tell me that the audio now works, like Tyson's Acosta. Since the audio stinks, does it stink now? No, I don't think so. I think it's just fine. I can't even begin to explain what went on here. God, it was a killer. But anyway, I don't know. I did a few things. I didn't do anything to change the sound, but somehow, I know what it was. Over the last day or so, without me asking, Windows rebooted my machine and put in some new stuff. Now that's fine, kind of, because it doesn't ask you first. But when it does that, sometimes it changes other stuff in the system that was set one way, and now it changes it to another way. So anyway, okay, thank you, Mike, for telling me that it works fine, since Tyson's Acosta wouldn't. Anyway, so I wonder why there weren't a lot of people listening, and I guess that was the reason why. And then I went over to look at the people who were listening to the audio on our GABNET site, and that audio had a lot of people. So I didn't know why, and then I looked, and some people were writing, there's no sound. What happened to the sound? Excellent now, says Tyson's Acosta. Okay, good. Okay. Anyway, that's what happened. And I'm sorry to Larry Bubbles Brown that his wonderful portion didn't get heard. But all you have to do, if you want to hear it, it's very simple. You go over to gabnet.net after the show is over or whatever and listen to our audio. Because that audio went out okay. That audio goes out through a different system, okay? So that's, and the video you're going to see tonight when we post it will just be starting from this point. Does any of that make sense? I hope it does. I'm so sorry. I do this all by myself, and so when I go on the air, I don't know exactly how it's going out. I just assume it's going out okay. And it's that fucking Windows where they put something new in and then they rejigger everything, and you have to, I didn't even remember it happening because it happened over the weekend, okay? Or maybe it happened in the last, it would have had to have happened in the last 24 hours. Yeah, I came in here this afternoon and my sign-on screen was on, and I thought maybe I had turned it off or something like that. No, what happened is Microsoft just automatically rebooted my machine, installed some new stuff, and didn't ask me for it. So what that did is it then changed the settings within the program I use to show you the video on this program. Does that make sense? This is just another one of the things just drives me fucking batshit. Anyway, let me turn on the Skype. Let's see if my friends calling can give me any feeling of relief here. Let me also delete a lot of stuff here because we have a lot of our old calls in here, and I want to get them out of here. And our number, if you want to know how to call, just go over to gabnet.net, and over there you will find, and rightly so, you will find the what do you call it? What will you find? Oh, you'll find you'll find out all the ways you can call this program if you want to, and we will be happy to entertain you as a guest. And it tells you how to use Skype, and it tells you all of that. And while you're there, you're not going to miss any of the video of the show because the video is showing over at gabnet.net as well and does every single night. So now we're starting to get a lot of people watching. Okay, so I'm sorry about that. I really am so sorry about that. Anyway, our lines are open, so I'm waiting for you guys to give me a call. I don't know why my CPU usage is so high tonight, but, go figure. There's so many things I have to watch out for. Maybe I should just go back to doing audio only. Anybody think that's a good idea, or do you like this with the video? Do you find that it's fun? Do you enjoy being able to see our ugly pusses throughout the whole show? Anyway, I'm just waiting. I'm stalling here now, waiting for somebody to call. And who knows who's going to be the first one in? I saw that Kevin came online. I don't know that Phil is online. In fact, I can't tell who's online right now. So anyway, I'm tired. Hey, look, if you don't want to call, I can close this thing down and go to sleep. I've been tired all day. Of course, I napped so much all day that I probably can't go to sleep tonight. So it's going to be time to take another pill. Oh, look, Bob Eberth is the first person to call. Hello, Robert. How are you this evening?
Not too bad.
Yeah. You're the first one tonight. That's unusual.
Well, I got the new Skype, and it is terrible.
The new Skype?
Yeah. Last night during the show, I had 4 windows of 4 faces and little circles on the top for the rest of the faces.
Yeah, that's the problem with it. And that's the reason why I have not gone to it for this show, because I'm showing the Skype screen, and I don't like that new configuration. Now, what happened here is I could have told you a couple of weeks ago, well, just go over to Skype, then say that you want to install the new thing, and then it would give you a drop-down menu, and one of the things would be Skype Classic. All right? And then you would just click on that, and you would be able to download the one I'm using here on the air. Well, unfortunately, Robert,
it's gone.
It's gone. That's Skype Classic. Here's what you do. You simply go to, after the show, just Google the following. Hold on a second. Let me get let me see here. I want to get the information about Skype. Okay. What you do is, and everybody write this down, if you don't like the new Skype, just online go Skype version 7.40.0.151. That's Skype version 7.40.151. And when you use that, okay, what'll come up are a lot of different things in which places you can go that have this old version or the most recent of the version I'm using. the latest version before the new version of Skype, and that will work, and that will clear it up. You can just use that. And what I found is when I loaded that in, at least on another machine, and I'm not on Windows, it loaded side by side with the old one, with the new one. So you'll have both of them on your machine available to you.
So it's 7.40.0.151?
Yep.
I'll give that a try.
Just
go to old Skype and
just Google that, and that will you'll probably get just a whole bunch of. Well, let me see here. Let me just do it on my browser here for a second, just for the hell of it. Give me that number again. It was
7.40.
7.400.151.
I believe that's what you gave me.
Yep. Okay. Let me search at just that number alone. Okay. If you just put in that number in your Google, it says where to download Skype. Blah blah blah. 7.40.0.151, and then you download that. And you open it up, and you'll find all kinds of places you can go to get it, and so on, and downloads, and so on.
Right. And every one of those sites, it would start to load.
Yeah.
And in the little load, it would say cannot reach the server site, and then immediately boot me up to the Skype home site.
Oh, it's funny because I get a whole bunch of choices when you Google.
So did I, and I tried. My computer crashed. I was down for 3 days.
Yeah.
I made the mistake of trying out a new virus program.
Yeah.
I didn't like it. I removed it from my computer.
Yeah.
A month later, portions of it started working.
Wow.
So I went and got the removal tool for that unit, and it killed my computer.
Son of a bitch.
The only way I can get the computer back running was to borrow a startup disk off of another computer, put that in just to get me going.
Yeah. And here comes Rob. Rob had got the new Skype a while back. Did you ever unload that new Skype, or is that the one you're using, Rob? We lost Rob. Well, there's the new Skype for you. But anyway, did you just check putting that number in?
Not right now.
Oh, well, when you check it, there'll be Google will bring up a whole list of places you can go to download that version. And when you download that version, that's the version I'm using. And as you can see here on the air, I don't get any of the bubbles and the circles and the shit like that.
Well, I don't know what I was doing last night. I was futzing around with it. And I finally ended up with one where you were on the whole screen, and everything else was little bubbles on the top.
Yeah, they think that's wonderful. They think that's a wonderful new way to be doing it. And
I think these people that modify these programs and design them never use them.
Yeah, and universally, if you go online and ask about the new Skype or something, or look for comments on it or reviews, everybody says it sucks. Why fuck with something that works? Oh, well, we've got now little bubbles up there. You don't have to get the bubbles. Yeah, fuck you with your fucking bubbles. Give me back, let me have a choice in my pathetic little life.
Tonight.
Huh?
They took your bubbles tonight.
We lost my bubbles tonight. Right. Well, you can go online and hear it on the Gabnet audio. That will be available to you. I don't know what happened to Rob. We lost him. He called and he may have had trouble with the screen. Here he comes again. Let's see what we got here. There he is. There's Rob. What happened to you, Rob?
This computer. I am done with it, really.
Really?
Same thing as last night. I could not hear you. And I had to go and change the audio source, the speaker thing.
Oh, you know what that is? Is that a Windows machine you've got?
Yeah.
Okay.
I came in this morning, came in tonight and sat down and noticed that the machine rebooted itself.
Yes. That's exactly what happened to me, and that's why nobody heard audio for the first half hour of the show. Because I wouldn't mind it if they wanted to just upgrade the OS, that would be fine, but it fucks with everything else.
I don't get it. It's just, that's why I'm a Mac guy. I don't care. You could keep this Windows crap. I hate Windows.
Well, the only thing I use my Windows machine for is the show. I do like the way it runs the show. I like OBS, which is the thing I use, much better in this respect. Yes.
Yeah, tonight I was pre-recording one of my shows.
Yeah.
And like I said, I just got this Windows 10 put back on and everything. Mm-hmm. And I'm noticing I couldn't get the levels I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was in mono. From my mixer board, it was mono. From my MP3s, it was mono.
Now, are you Windows as well?
Yeah, Windows 10.
Well, there you go.
And I rebooted my computer, and the stereo came back, and all my levels and everything.
Son of a bitch. Son of a bitch.
Yeah, it's just,
you know, when
this computer goes, I'm just going to get a Mac, either a Mac Mini or one of the ones. What do they call them? The i something or other.
The iMac. Yeah, the iMac.
Yeah.
If you already have monitors and stuff, the Mini Mac's a really good idea if you want a Mac. You know. Yeah,
I mean, I have two 24-inch monitors, so I'm happy with that. So the Mac Mini is probably the way to go.
You would agree with Mac Mini, right, Phil? You've had a Mac Mini for a while.
I was very happy with my Mac Mini.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to render my photographs faster, and that's why. And I was able to get a deal on a Mac Pro, although initially I don't see that much difference between the Mini and the Pro. There's got to be, because there's so much more to the Pro than there is to the Mini. Yeah. But I've been using, I have a late 2014 Mini that has all the power in the world, and I was happy with it. Alex is going to buy it, and unless you want to pay $301.
Oh, just quit and stop. The bidding is over with.
Capitalism at its finest.
Okay. Do I hear 301? How about 302?
That is a magic number. A promise is a promise, so I don't break those.
Yeah, yeah. When are you getting it to me, by the way?
I just have to sit down and copy some stuff that's on the desktop that didn't copy over to the new desktop, and then I'll wipe it and send it.
Okay. All right.
I'll have plenty of time next week, too. Even after the operation, I'm just going to be, home.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just can't lift anything.
Yeah.
You just really have to pray nothing goes wrong with that operation, Alex. It won't.
Yeah. I say a little prayer every night for Phil, but it's not because I love Phil, but because I want the goddamn computer.
No, actually, what he said to me is, geez, send it out before the operation.
I'll give you a 302.
What'd you say?
Oh,
what'd you say?
Up to
302. I'll give you a 302.
302. I see.
Okay. Okay. Do I hear 303? This is going to be a long night. Hey,
no, but what I'm saying is that let me go back to what we were talking about here with Windows. I don't find the Windows machines terrible. In fact, I find it works quite fine for the show. But like tonight, what happened, folks? You didn't hear any sound. Now I didn't look at what people were writing, and they were writing to me that it was bad. There wasn't any sound for about the first 25 minutes, and then when I put it on default, it went to one of these what do you call it? One of these webcams to get the sound.
You were getting the sound from.
Oh, that's why it was muffled.
Yeah. So then I finally just put it on built-in whatever. And I'm fine, and now everybody's got great sound, and But the fact of the matter was, all of that happened because I came back to my machine today, and it had rebooted itself. And I didn't stop to think, I better check everything. Because I keep, things happen, and then you forget about them. And
I'm having a problem with Apple. I sat down and I got an update for a program that I have called ChronoSync, which syncs my drives to my backup drives.
Yeah.
And so it wanted me to enter my Apple password.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't changed my Apple password since the beginning of time. And now I put it in and it says it's not working. And then I go, okay, I tried all the usual suspects, and none of them worked. So I went to change my password, and it wasn't working. No matter what. And then it wanted 8 characters, a capital, a number, and so forth. I mean, how many passwords am I going to have? And I know Rob's got that thing, but
no. I had the same thing happen with Apple, where it's asked me for a new password, and then I decided, I'll just go back to one other password. No, you can't go to that one. You can't use the last 10, 30 passwords that you used before.
Exactly.
Fuck you. If I want to make it 1, 2, 3, 4, that's up to me as to whether I want that level of security or not, right?
It depends. So it's not necessarily, if you think about it from the business's perspective, if you make your password Alec 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they're going to be liable for somebody breaching your account, it's not necessarily up to you.
Well, I mean, what am I going to do? I'm going to sue them for something that I take full responsibility for my password.
I guess they do hack it, and then you go to Apple and say, "Help me fix it." Maybe that's what Rob is alluding to.
All I'm saying is, I'm up to now. I can't. Oh, I do remember my current. Do I remember my current password? Yeah,
I hope so.
You know what I do? Here's how I do it. Do any of you have the? Well, I'm sure you do. The Google browser, Chrome. Do you have the Chrome browser?
I won't use it.
Go over to settings.
Yeah.
Go all the way down. You'll hit advanced. Click on that. It'll go down to another more stuff, and then go to passwords. Then you go over to passwords, and you type in what particular site you can't remember the password to, and those come up, and then you have to click in your password to get that password. But it's there, and that's how I get them when I forget them, to see what the password is.
It sounds friendly, but my own feeling is not to trust it, because I think the ability of sophisticated hacking from whomever is at a
Are you
point
that
where
important,
you've gotta be
John?
more
Johnny,
cautious.
are you that important?
It was the Russians.
Are you that important? I think I don't care. I'm not. I'm not that important. Steal my fucking identity. I don't give a shit. I've got a miserable life anyway. You're welcome to it. Yes,
They're gonna
Patrick.
make it more
by the way,
miserable when
by
they
the
steal
way,
it.
by the way,
Alex, they just make it more miserable when they steal it.
Patrick, who is going to be now the star of the upcoming film on the life of Stephen Hawking. Yes, Patrick.
Can you not see me?
Yeah, I can see you.
Well, then I had my hand up before Patrick. No offense, Patrick.
Oh.
No.
Excuse me, Patrick. I have to defer.
Renee?
I have to defer to Renee. No.
Your camera's too low. If your hand was up, it wasn't visible.
Yeah.
Yeah, because my face was okay. Go ahead, Patrick.
No. Renee, please talk. I'm sorry. I did see you with your hand up, and then I forgot that your hand was up because you were over in the corner, and I saw Patrick, and I thought of Stephen Hawking, and that he's in his wheelchair too, and whatever.
I would have blown the joke.
Huh?
So, number one about the passwords really quickly. Pick a verse in a song, and use the. We were going to the dock of the bay or something like that. You can use that.
How do you get numbers in that? How do you get numbers in that?
Well, if it's a song's about money, then you would just use the money sign. Or if the song's got like 999 or 666. But also, I would like to put in a bid. This is a nerd joke. I would like to put in a bid for the Mac Mini. And my bid is my bid is 3.1.41592.
That's right.
Yeah.
Very good.
I'm glad you said something. I got to make a phone call.
What?
It's a pie day. He's got to go buy a pie.
No. It's my best friend's birthday. Let me. Hang on.
So today's pie day, and Neil deGrasse Tyson says you have to remember 33 of the numbers in order to make a real pie quote. And that's what I was reading, was the 33 numbers that he tweeted out.
Hey, I'll be in Vegas for 420 this year.
Oh, yeah?
Good job, Rob.
What are you going to, a convention?
No, my wife and I are going to spend a week on vacation, and we're going to start in Vegas, and then we're going to drive to Southern California, and then drive back and fly home from Vegas. So 2 states where 420 is legal.
See,
On 420.
I thought that I would like to take my wife to. Asked her, you want to go to Vegas sometime? She just does not want to go to Vegas. She just hates the idea of Vegas. And I think Vegas is fine if it's only for like 3 days.
That's it.
You know,
Right.
Because I used to have to go there because when I worked for Play Incorporated, we used to go to the conventions there to have booths, and I'd be there for 5 days. By the 4th day, I wanted to shoot myself.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but for a couple of days, hey, nothing, a lot of fun. You know,
I like Vegas for the weird stuff that's there. Like, I don't go to the shows and everything. I go to the Museum of the Atomic Bomb. I mean, that's a great museum.
Yeah.
It's right, off the strip. And then Pawn Stars. I love Pawn Stars.
I love Pawn Stars. I love that show.
Have you been?
It's
there?
in a shitty neighborhood, though. I mean, you don't want to be in that neighborhood at night.
Have you been there to the store?
No.
Yeah.
You haven't been there? Because I heard that they the last bunch of years they no longer shoot at that store. They use a set.
I heard the store is very small, narrow, and long.
And 90% of it now is you can buy Pawn Star T-shirts and mugs and hats and every kind of swag. That's what's the whole store now.
Yeah.
And so a lot of their business is online and what you see on television now. And you can tell because in the earlier episodes, you could see people walking by outside. They've got this frosted fake door now.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. So it's yeah. Well, yes.
If you're a photography person, the Museum of Neon. So they have and they have night tours sometimes. So it's really kind of cool. They have a whole bunch of neon signs in their original states, and they've got a big open field, pretty much kind of area. And you will get to be at eye level. The photos are a lot of fun, and then on some nights they will do a night version of it.
Well, there's the Liberace Museum.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Can't miss that.
That's a good one.
You know,
it's the buffet at Harrah's.
No, actually, the best buffet I ever had in Vegas was at the Mirage. Yeah, they had one motherfucking buffet. You know, it wasn't cheap. It was like $25, $30. It was more expensive than most of the $1.25 buffets, which are just meant to fill you up and kick you out. Yeah. You know, but the buffet at the Mirage was terrific. But no, we spent 5 days there, 6 days, and you just want to just climb the fucking walls after a while. If nothing more, the disorienting carpets drive you nuts.
Yeah. I would rent a motorcycle if it's warm enough and go out to the desert and maybe go to Hoover Dam or is Joshua Tree near there?
It's in Southern California.
Joshua Tree.
Yeah. I know. I'll tell you my girlfriend and I at the time when I lost my show in San Francisco and all the press was hounding me, we just went to Vegas to get away right after the show was over. Went to Vegas and spent a couple of days there, and we went out to I'd never gone out to Hoover Dam, Boulder Dam, whatever you want to call it. That's a tour. It's fascinating. Do you know that it isn't dry yet?
Wow.
That there's so much concrete in that thing that the really center of it has not completely dried yet. And it was built like 75 years ago or longer than that, you know. But that's a fascinating tour. And what was the other? There's one other tour, one other thing we did in Vegas that I found interesting. I'm trying to remember now. Oh,
Since Marjorie's pretty visual with that kind of stuff, why don't you take a look at all of the concerts and or the shows that are going to be for the next 6 months, and find out if any of those are interesting to her, and fly at that particular point.
There's a town called Pahrump that's just outside Vegas, and there's a place that you can learn how to shoot called Front Sight. Look them up. It's a very interesting thing. You can take a class for $200, like a 3-day handgun class. It's a very, very interesting way to spend 3 days.
Well, I went to the very early version of Burning Man. When there were only like maybe 5,000 people there. Yeah, and the best thing they had, although I wasn't going to use it, was what they called a drive-by shooting range.
Yeah.
And
video's still online.
Well, I mean, it's like it was like the desert is so long. It's a long desert. It's 40 miles long, I think, and about 6 or 8 miles wide. And in the middle of the night, you can actually turn your car lights off, take your hand off the wheel, and put it on automatic and just drive 40 miles before you'll hit anything, okay? But anyway, so they had this drive-by shooting range. Who's going to get hurt, right? And you could bring a gun, and they had stuffed bunnies and all kinds of things, and you would just shoot out of your car as you were driving by. So.
They call that, there's a word for that. They do it with shotguns. It's called sporting clays, where they have.
Well, you're talking about shooting skeet, where
they would make them hop like bunnies and things like that.
Oh, really? Oh.
Doesn't that make them
at least
thugs?
5 of them.
Drive-by shootings.
Huh?
Doesn't it make them thugs because they're doing drive-by shootings? Just because they're white and they're only shooting at bunny rabbits.
It makes them thugs when their pants are down around their ass.
Oh, Jesus. Here we go. Let me go stick my finger down my throat. I need to puke.
It's interesting that this thing went over to guns all of a sudden, but I just want to and
tastefully so.
To the Museum of Atomic Weapons. They used to blow up aerial nukes. You could see them any place you lived in Las Vegas. They have pictures of it.
No. Here's what happened. People would be playing in the casinos, and outside the window there would suddenly be this gigantic flash of light in the sky,
and the ground would shake.
The ground would shake, and the windows would rattle and sometimes break.
They do the same thing if you get the big jackpot.
Yeah.
Yeah, you mean the one in the sky, right?
Yeah.
At the museum there, they show you all of this wonderful stuff, and then they tell you. And the fucked up thing about it was, there are humans between you and that blast. There were military people standing out there doing the blast with nothing.
They had them there. They put the troops on the periphery of the explode zone. Okay, I can't say drop zone because they didn't drop it. And they would sit there and they would have dark glasses on so they wouldn't get blinded from the glare. But nobody seemed to care because in those days they didn't know what the radiation would do to them. This is before it was dropped on Hiroshima. They had no idea what it would do. And so they just cavalierly, okay, let's get the troops around here so it's like and see how they're affected by it. And a lot of those people in later years died of cancer. Okay?
Yeah.
And let me tell you another story. There was a film, I can't remember the name of it. I think it was called The Barbarian with John Wayne. You're going yes, right?
Yes.
Jeff, you know what I'm talking about. Tell him.
Well, they made this movie, and it was, if I understand it, it was in a tunnel in Utah.
No, they were
well,
shooting.
Maybe it was another story that's similar, where they made a movie in a tunnel where they used to make atomic testing, and they stopped using it. However, somebody said, "Well, we can make a cool movie about that." So there was like so many people who were in this movie. They all died.
Well, let me tell you, the film was called, I think, The Barbarian. It starred John Wayne, who subsequently died of cancer, Susan Hayward, who subsequently died of cancer, Pedro Armendáriz, who subsequently died of cancer. His last film was From Russia with Love. There were a lot of deaths as the result of the making of that film, which was done in the Nevada desert while they were dropping the bomb, 100 miles away, and the cloud came over the set.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because we didn't know what these bombs would do. Okay, and in fact, the scary story is that I heard is that the people who were working on it in where was it in New Mexico?
Los Alamos.
Los Alamos, New Mexico.
Alamogordo.
And then they went and dropped them, blew them up in Nevada. Edward Teller didn't even know if when they blew the bomb up, if the atmosphere wouldn't explode.
Yeah.
Wouldn't catch fire.
That's funny because I was watching just today. I watched The Bomb. You ever seen that documentary?
Yes, it's one bomb after another.
2 hours
of just nothing but every bomb literally that went off, and how much
they built it and how they
designed
it
and
the whole
and the tonnage of it.
2 hours long.
The tonnage of each one, and it's right after another.
It was such it was a bunch of scientists building something in their backyard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
it was crazy.
they didn't know what it was going to do. Some scientists felt we would maybe blow up the atmosphere. Okay, so let's let this bomb go off.
How close we came, with the Cuban Missile Crisis.
So when you talk about having the troops on the periphery, they probably didn't even consider that this would be harmful to them because they were far enough away from the blast that they wouldn't be.
They were hiding behind boxes.
They wouldn't be hurt by the blast.
Alex,
yeah.
I was watching. Funny that you guys are talking about this. I was watching clips from Fat Man and Little Boy. With Paul Newman and John Cusack.
Yeah.
And in that, John Cusack plays Louis Slotin, who did a similar thing. They called it tweaking the dragon's tail. They actually would take a real screwdriver and bring the fissile materials close together. And what makes the bomb go is they use supersonic speed from a conventional explosion to push those things
together. It takes
together.
dynamite, actually, to blow up
So anyways, in the movie, dynamite. So in the movie, Cusack drops the thing and gets exposed with a blue flash of radiation. And he dies. It takes him like 5 days to die, and they show that in the movie. So I think, Alex, some of them, anyway, knew the dangers of this kind of radiation. Maybe what they didn't know is how far or how dispersed
well, they probably figured these soldiers were maybe 10 miles away from the blast zone. How are they going to get hurt by this? They're only going to maybe feel the shock wave. And
I know why they died. They didn't have those little school desks that you
get under, right? Yeah.
Well, I think it's once the Navy.
Don't forget, just before the bomb goes off, guys, to duck and cover.
It was a lot of radiation involved.
Yeah. So I mean,
scientists in the Navy are smarter than the Army.
Because the Navy wanted them, and they blew them up, and then all of a sudden there was all this radiation, and the fish started glowing in the dark and everything else. And so they took all the boats that got exposed and took them out to the ocean and dumped them down there.
And towed some of them back here to San Francisco at Hunters Point. I was in the Marshall Islands with Greenpeace in 1985. We were moving Marshallese from Rongelap to an island 100 miles away because the bomb from Bikini, all the radiation fell on him there. And the Navy tested boats there. I saw one of those boats. It had radio signs on it. I mean, we're talking about a big battle cruiser or something. But a lot of those, they didn't decontaminate them well enough in the Marshall Islands. So they towed them back to Hunters Point and Treasure Island, where the guys, the workers, would go inside and hose them down some more to decontaminate them. And the incidence of cancer.
Well, then let's not talk about the irresponsibility of Kim Jong-un and his nuclear program.
Why you think that the amount of people that our military government has wasted is comparable to that? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, way more comparable. I mean, I'm sure that Kim Jong-un knows that, because of the past, knows the dangers of nuclear power more than we ever did when we were blowing those bombs off. You know. Yeah. But
do you think he has the capability to launch a nuclear weapon?
At least in South Korea.
Yeah. I want to talk to Patrick a second because today Stephen Hawking died. And for some reason, I thought about you. I don't know why, because you're in a wheelchair, right? But, you know, I mean, this guy, it was predicted he'd be dead within like 2 years, and he lived 60 years beyond that diagnosis, you know? I mean, amazing.
Do the Stephen Hawking voice.
No, Phil.
Yeah, he can do it.
No, Phil.
Yeah. Computer simulated.
Did you find out which version of ALS he had?
No.
Yeah, the good one.
Yeah, the good one, apparently.
The one that takes 50 years.
Yeah. Well, no, most people don't live that long. He just managed to, you know. I think it was a amazing thing. As amazing as the rest of his life.
Hey, I got a story, a J. Robert Oppenheimer story. It's short. Do you want to hear it? Yeah. My friend Andy, who lives across the freeway from me, his dad worked in the Manhattan Project, and Oppenheimer went to his high school in the state of Washington once to give a talk after, you know, he was out of the program and everything. And so Andy's taking a pee in the men's room, and he said Oppenheimer came and stood next to him and took a pee. And nothing was said until Oppenheimer finally said, you know, I was the reason your mom and dad got together. And I thought, holy shit, what a story. You know, a little slice of life from two people in the Manhattan Project.
Edward Teller.
Always funny little stories like that with the Manhattan Project.
Yeah. Edward Teller had a building, a complex in San Ramon. It's since been raised, and they put office buildings there. But the city of San Ramon used to let our SWAT team practice room entries and blowing up doors and stuff like that in the old Edward Teller building. And think about it, I running through there.
But we were talking about Oppenheimer.
I know, with Teller, Oppenheimer, they were all, you know, out of the same.
No, not really. Not really. Oppenheimer was supposedly a major jerk. I mean, he eventually got thrown off his own project because they considered him to be at risk because he was Jewish. What?
Was the Manhattan Project done in Manhattan, or was it done at Lawrence Livermore Lab?
It was done in Manhattan.
It was done all over. I mean, it was in Alamogordo.
I think it was. I think, if I'm not mistaken, correct me, Jeff. Do you know anything about this, Jeff? The Manhattan Project took place in the basement of Columbia University, I believe.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Yeah.
They had to spread it out, though. They had to spread all that.
Well, it started here because this is where Einstein was. And a lot of the great minds of the universities at that time. And that's why I think it started here. And then they moved the development stage to Los Alamos. And then they ultimately blew the bombs up in the Nevada desert. One time we're driving, I and my friend Steve were looking for a whorehouse in Nevada. Now the reason we were looking for the whorehouse was we were going to do a documentary there. We were going to do an episode of Midnight Blue at this thing which was a whorehouse that was formerly a chicken coop. Are you ready for that? If you can imagine that, all right? And we couldn't find the place, and we said, well, maybe let's take this road here. And we start driving down the road, and it's a dirty road, and we figure, maybe it's the end of this thing. And we go forever, and finally we hit a sign that says, turn around and go back, nuclear testing area.
Nice.
You get a picture?
Huh? No.
Picture of the sign?
No, in those days we didn't have iPhones. It wasn't that easy. Yes, Bob.
Dumb question. Did Stephen Hawking ever get his degree? Because I heard that he dropped out when he got the ALS.
He became, I think that all took place when they made him chair. When they gave him the Lucasian chair at the university, I think all of that went away. It was a huge presentation. They made a lot about it. He gave him a particular seat at a particular table, and it's called the Lucasian chair.
Does it really matter? It's like they suddenly say, "Oh, I'm sorry, but we can't publish your book, The Theory of Everything, because you didn't finish college." Yes, Patrick.
I mean, the guy Turd is smarter than Oliver.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yes. Well, I'm impressed by the fact that he came up with theories that you and I can't even begin to fathom. Okay, he did it all off the top of his head. I said he never wrote anything down. Because he couldn't write literally, physically. He had to do everything in his head. Hello, Ray Renati. How are you this evening?
Hello.
Yeah.
How you doing?
He did everything in his head. And I'm very impressed by that. But what I'm ultimately impressed by was he managed to do well enough with the women that he scored 2 of them and had 2 children. He divorced one wife, married another one, and he's there with this little machine talking to him.
Okay.
Yes, Patrick.
Yeah, a friend of mine and I, we were talking about that years ago, that how bad must his ex-wife have been at sex that he would kick her out and find somebody else. I mean, because here's the guy talking into a machine, he can't do anything. She must have stuck at sex because
my feeling
so
is, as a guy, my attitude is much respect. Much respect to you.
Absolutely. I mean, he said, "You suck. I'm finding somebody else." And
hey, Patrick, you still got just get one of those computer animated voices. Tell them that you're really alive. And you're looking for a new wife.
Oh, that's evil, man. That is really evil.
Yeah, because no man's ever dumped his first wife.
Well, the reason what I was going to ask you tonight, that being the case, is being in a wheelchair attractive to some women? I mean, really, where you score as a result?
They're always pushing you around
of the wheelchair.
I shouldn't just limit it to women. There are people that have fetishes for handicapped people. And then I do know one of my first experiences that I didn't let get to an experience after I got paralyzed. I was in a club with some friends, and I had 2 women come up to me, and they wanted to go home with me that night. Because I was dancing with them, and, I believe it or not, I'm not shy, and I'll go out on a dance floor in fucking wheelchair. I don't give a shit. But I had them come over, and they were sitting on my lap and pawing me, and they wanted to go home with me. But my problem was, I didn't know what I could do performance-wise, and I didn't know how to explain to them that this isn't just like hopping in bed with anybody else here. So I lost my opportunity to pop my disabled cherry on that night.
You couldn't tell them they were
It's also a security issue, Patrick. If you go home with them, you don't know if they're going to, tie you up and steal all your shit. And, I mean...
Well, yeah, I mean, that's true. But the thing is, I was talking to some female friends about that incident, and they had told me that, yeah, there are women out there who, their interest is just to try out different men, per se.
Yeah.
And if I knew that at that time, I would have taken a shot at one of those two, because if they weren't willing to go home and put up with not really knowing what the fuck I was doing yet, hey, I would have gotten laid a lot earlier.
But this was at a time that this was at a time you didn't know whether you were capable or not of it.
Well, here's the thing. If you walked into my bedroom and I pulled the covers off, there is a pillow for my legs, which isn't that big of a deal, but that's one thing. There's a rope in my bed, and that's so that I can turn myself over. But again, I mean, Phil shaking his head, and that's just it. You look at this and you go, okay, what the fuck? I've also got...
What about the handcuffs?
No, I've got...
Kinky, very kinky.
I've got a gate belt in there,
Mm-hmm.
which is it's a wide belt with a buckle that I use to fasten a pillow to my wheelchair wheel, so that in the middle of the night I don't bang my hand on the damn wheelchair.
Yeah.
You see these different tools, and it looks like there's an S&M thing happening.
Cool.
If you're not, if you're just coming home with me and I just met you at a bar or something, your intent may be you want to have sex with me, but maybe you're not into S&M. Well, I'm not either. That's not what that shit is.
Yeah.
But you might get lucky.
You explain that on the cab ride over.
What were you saying? What did you say, Rob?
You explain all that on the cab ride over.
Right. You're not going to believe my bed, baby.
So I mean, I knew my shit worked. It was a matter of trying to explain to somebody else, and it just, and after that, things just kind of started rolling for me, and literally. So,
normally after a little bit of foreplay, they can see if your shit's working or not.
Well, that's how you get that shit working.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yet you don't have any feeling down there.
Well, yeah, but everything responds the same.
Wow.
The brain does not connect to it.
See, I would think you would need. From what I know about using my penis, that you would need some feeling down there in order to get erect, because you need the stimulation to get you erect. But it doesn't. You're saying that doesn't really matter.
All you need to do is...
You let him finish, Phil, please. Thank you.
There's feeling down there, all right? But the brain doesn't register that there's feeling. I mean, if I want to masturbate, I can. But it's like somebody else is jerking me off because, or I should say, I'm jerking somebody else off because I can't feel my own dick doing what it's doing.
But you can feel your hand. You can feel your hand on it.
Right. I can. But the
pressure.
Now, Ray, I think has.
I mean, your brain has different parts, so it's like, like the part of your brain that knows that's happening is working, but your conscious, frontal cortex or whatever, prefrontal, is not feeling the actual incident. Yeah, but there is a part of your brain that is responding, but part of it that's not.
Right, and I mean, when I was with my ex, I remember one of the first times we had sex, she got pissed at me because she was, trying to titillate me by, dancing and all this kind of shit, and nothing happened. And I mean, she knew that it may not happen, but she kissed me, and all of a sudden I got a boner. And it was like, I did all of that, I'm fucking sweating after all of that, and all I had to do is kiss you and you get hard. And it just, that's the way it goes. You don't know. So if you're going to have sex with me, foreplay's the best way, and then we can. And I
can take care of you, baby, because my head still works.
Absolutely.
And it's at the right height.
Yeah. Are we learning anything tonight we didn't want to learn? Yes, Renee.
Patrick, one time when you told that story, you said it was really interesting that you found the inside of your thigh had become.
Yes, you do remember that. That's correct. That one of the things that when I orgasm, I do get a weird. I can't say it's the same as what everybody else feels, but I get a weird sensation down the inside of my thigh.
Wow.
And that's I know that I came. You know, and it's weird because I remember what it was like before, but I'm starting to forget because it's going to be 15 years in, 3 weeks. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's a different
Gee,
way of doing
I'm
it.
thinking now that Stephen Hawking probably was having some fun. You know, having a good time. He was having a good time. By the way, anybody else have a comment on this? Yes, Renee. First Ray, and then first Renee, then Ray.
Sure.
So Stephen Hawking started to focus on his physics at Oxford. Later, he went to Cambridge, where he was awarded the prestigious Lucasian Professor of Mathematics chair. And so this is a chair that has been held by Newton and I think Einstein, and so it's a big deal. Somebody else currently has that status, but
was it a wheelchair is the question.
No, it's a big wooden thing with a crown on it.
My chair has been moved by Waters Moving and Storage.
Right.
Yeah.
Mathematics.
Yeah.
So
Ray,
physics,
Ray had his hand up. Yes.
I just wanted to. One interesting thing about Stephen Hawking is that voice that he used was from 30 years ago. It was old technology, but people recognized him with that voice. So whenever he went to an interview, they would pre-ask the questions and he would pre-record them, because with the newer technology, you can do it in real time, but he wanted people to recognize that it was him, so he never moved to the new technology. He used the old technology, so everything had to be done beforehand.
Because if you didn't hear, because that voice was almost significantly his in a way.
It was. So he never went. He never got. But so everything had to. All his interviews had to be planned ahead, and he was actually just sitting there. He wasn't actually doing it in real time.
Oh, really? Amazing.
Yeah. Well, I would imagine. When he did Big Bang Theory, I mean, all his lines were probably programmed into it first.
Yeah, because that old technology, you couldn't do it in real time.
He was on The Simpsons. He used, and he actually did his voice. Who was it though? I'm trying to remember who it was that lost his ability to speak, and so what they did was they synthesized. They took his actual voice, recordings of his voice, and synthesized it so that when he used that kind of machine, it sounded kind of like him. Oh, it was
Roger Ebert?
Huh? Roger Ebert. Yes,
yeah.
It was Roger.
Oh, that's
Ebert.
right, Roger.
And they're actually doing that with Dwight Clark right now.
Really?
Dwight Clark, really?
Yeah,
What?
he's got ALS, and they're recording his voice right now, so he can prepare him for that.
Yeah.
Okay, so does anybody know if ALS in any way, shape, or form is tied to traumatic brain injuries?
No.
Yes.
Is it?
A friend of mine was just diagnosed with it about a month ago.
Yeah.
So
But
the reason I know that there's at least two ALS types is because the gentleman who used to live near me was an avid hockey player. And when ALS hit him, he was gone in 2 years, wasted away to nothing right in front of your eyes.
Well,
and I always wondered that fact, if that was the issue.
They're tying it to CTE, which is what the football players are having.
Which is concussion.
I can never remember what the CTE means, but my friend drove truck. We used to drive truck together, and he fell off the top deck of a car carrier, and he hit cement, and he was fine for, he fell off and had a couple seizures, and then over the last 2 years, he had a couple more seizures, and I saw him about this last summer, and he slowly lost his voice, and now he's having choking problems, and now he's going through brain trauma and he was diagnosed as having ALS back in December.
Wow.
This might be that.
Now we don't know how long he's going to go.
Well,
so he could have the long one. He could have the short one. We don't know.
Yeah. I think Stephen Hawking pretty much outlived most prophecies.
Yeah, if you look it up, they say it's 2 to 5 years, but could be 10 to 50.
Well, they say
there's
10
really
to 50 now because he went to 50.
Yeah, he you know, and there's really no diagnosis of, you know, there's no prognosis of how long it's going to last.
So did you guys hear that 23andMe will actually do your... So if a female sends in her DNA test for 23andMe, they will do the testing for the breast cancer.
What's 23andMe? What's 23andMe?
One of those DNA places where you can find
It
out.
only does a couple of strains, though. It only does a couple of certain tests.
It only does a couple of many tests that need to be done. But DNA, 23andMe is the ancestry stuff that you guys have been swabbing your cheeks with and sending it in. And
No, we don't swab our cheeks. We spit in it.
Yeah.
You send them your spit.
So it's interesting that they're morphing into a DNA testing now. That's an interesting segue.
It's controversial, you know. I mean, with Ancestry.com, they give you the raw data, and you can download it and then send it to somebody who will tell you what your chances are. But you know, and I have that, but I've chosen not to send that to anybody to figure that out because I'd rather not know.
Yes.
Well, I mean, how much is that knowledge worth? I mean, if it's something that they can prevent, then maybe it's good knowledge. But if it's something that you can't prevent, but you can just know you have,
yeah, good point.
Maybe you don't want to live the rest of your life knowing that. You know?
Yeah, knowing that you have a 75% chance of getting Alzheimer's in 10 years or something. Like that. I mean, who the hell wants to know that?
No, you want to know that.
Yeah.
You want to know.
I don't want to know.
I want to know so that I could prepare for it. I mean, it might make the difference of how I would live my life if finding I was going to have Alzheimer's in 10 years. First of all, I'd prepare for it. And second of all, I do some things that I want to do before it hits.
Why not do it anyway, though?
Well, I would.
Won't necessarily tell you when, though.
Yeah, I mean, you might. Why wouldn't you just do that anyway, whether you know you're going to get Alzheimer's or not?
Well, I'm worried that I have some failing brain function lately. You know, yesterday I was doing something that was very repetitious. I've been doing for the longest time, and at one point I went, "What do I want to do next here?" And I couldn't. I was kind of stunned by that. It took me about a minute before I figured out where I was, and then I got the whole thing going again. You know, but I'm starting to worry about that. But it doesn't matter. When I'm a babbling idiot here, just shut me off, and I'll sign off. And
I think everyone gets some amount of it, no matter what. From what I've heard,
it's normal.
Well,
hey, go to an oxygen bar or get portable oxygen. That is so good. You know, that just kind of freshens up your brain cells, and you know.
Oh, by the way,
no, I'm not kidding.
And I didn't separate. You didn't hear it because we were, unless you were listening to the audio tonight of Bubbles. I actually had him, I think, on the one we ran tonight, say hooker for you, Renee. And if I can find it, I'll separate it from the show so everybody can make it into a ringtone. Yeah.
That'll be great.
Let's change subjects here. We've, I think, exhausted Stephen Hawking. Although, you know, a great person for all of us. Okay, and for our society, and but
verbally abusive.
Anyway. This just in from the Washington Post. In a fundraising speech, Trump says he made up information in a meeting with Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau.
What?
Yes. What? He says he made up information in a meeting with Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau.
Why did he tweet such a dumb thing?
He didn't tweet it. He said it in a fundraising speech.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
Does he really think world leaders are going to trust him now?
Yeah, right.
I mean,
this is funnier than a comedy show. I'm telling you.
Well,
this is crazy.
It's crazy nuts. It's crazy nuts. What do you think about that, Phil? I want to hear how he justifies this. Go ahead.
I'm playing with a Stephen Hawking voice generator, and I'm trying to have a spot for you, Alex, in his voice. But so far, it's not the easiest thing to to do. It's a Stephen Hawking voice generator.
Really? So he can always be with us.
I want him to say the Skype lines are open.
There you go.
I think Albert, if I remember correctly, on my show at Sirius, actually made up some Stephen Hawking. He got the same sound. He was able to get the Stephen Hawking voice sound, and he had him saying things like, "Hey, baby, will you fuck me? I want it, I want it, I want it."
Hey, baby, will you fuck me? I don't want to do it. That's terrible.
But what was that in, though? There was
Not
some
today.
comedy. There was some comedy. It might have been something done by the South Park guys in which Stephen Hawking was making love to somebody.
Can't remember.
Yeah. But today was, of course, these marches that the young people in America were doing, 12 minutes out of school. A lot of them went longer than that. And
17 minutes.
And it was amazing. Hold on a second, Phil. It was amazing. And I really think they're really, Marjorie brought this up, and it's a good point. Some of these kids are only 3 years away from voting.
Oh.
Okay.
Some of them were 6 months away from voting.
Yeah. So yes, Jeff.
One of them I heard actually was 18.
Yeah.
Just
I'm ready to vote.
Oh, they can vote at 18, right? So
Right.
they're all within a couple of years of being able to vote or able to vote right now. So and Trump has done nothing to engender good feelings among those people. And I think there may be in the next election a lot more young people voting than we've ever seen before as a result of this thing.
Well, that would be great.
Anybody have any feelings about the win last night in Pennsylvania?
It's not over yet.
Well, it's not over yet, but he's going to.
They're going to do a recount, but
it's pretty close. And the Republicans are claiming that there was some sort of voter fraud.
Oh, fuck!
They haven't blamed the Russians, but they're saying that the people went to vote for Scaramucci, and when they pushed the button, whatever his name is, Sirocco.
Suckoff was his name. Suckoff.
The guy reminds me of somebody that has a gravel pit and dresses like a mafia guy. But
at least he's not an orangutan.
Did one of those run this year?
Yes, his name was.
Yeah. He actually is our president.
President Orangutan. Yeah. By the way, Patrick has his hand up. Yes, Patrick.
It's too long. It's hard to spell.
I don't think it's going to really matter one way or the other because that fucking district gets redone anyway. So whoever wins is going to be fine for now, but then next election period, who the fuck knows?
I think armed with that knowledge, nobody really thought it was going to be a slam dunk of anything. But what it was an indicator of how Trump's popularity is holding up in these areas, and people who maybe would have voted Republican didn't. And so this was like a litmus paper. They know that in 9 months that congressional district isn't even going to exist, and these two guys are going to have to run in 2 other congressional districts and not against each other.
Bet
Wait a minute, let me finish, Phil, please. Yeah. Maybe you might learn something. I don't know.
Well, maybe you'd learn something if you listen to me.
Well, not when you interrupt me.
All right.
Okay.
So you want me to interrupt you?
No.
All right. Well,
because I'm old and I lose my mind and my thoughts when I don't, Yeah, hold on. We'll get to that in a second, Phil.
I'm the one that's going for an operation.
Oh, God. He just pulled the I'm sick card. Oh, wow.
Or the I'm Jewish.
Listen, I worry enough about you without you bringing it up. Oh, wait a minute. Let me just finish what I was. Now I don't even know where I was now. What was I talking about? See what you do to me, Phil?
You were talking about how you forget everything.
No.
But, hey, that guy Lamb, I guarantee you he's vice presidential material for the Democrats. He'll serve 7 months.
I doubt it. I doubt it.
He's good looking. He's got everything.
I doubt he is a stealth candidate. I will agree with you, but he's not ready yet. Okay.
You were talking about all the young people that are going to vote now because of the Trump's bad response to the slaughter in Florida.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's what you were.
Yeah,
talking.
and I think that's a great thing. Yeah.
What did you just send something, Ray?
I forgot it.
Ray, did you just?
This is the value of the election.
Yeah, just to save Phil time, I put up there. There's already a soundboard on the internet. You can do Stephen Hawking voices.
Oh, really?
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I just did.
Just want to save you some time.
I made it work.
Yeah, but anyway, yes, Patrick. Let me just finish what I was going to say. All this is really an indicator of is the weakness of Donald Trump at this point, because this guy should have won by 20%. That's what Trump won by in that particular district back when. So it's really just kind of an indicator of the mood of the country and the way it's going. Yes, Patrick.
I disagree. I think the people that voted for Trump were just pissed off union people and regular folks, and that's how he won that district at that higher percentage, and they went back to their regular voting ways again, because that was never a hard red area until Trump came in, and those same people, which are union steel workers and that type of employment, that they get regular folks.
Yeah, but a couple of months ago, what was it, in Arkansas, was it, with Alabama? That was also somewhat of an indicator as well. These are just giving us a sign that there is a seed chain going on, and that Trump has not engendered a great deal of goodwill for the Republican Party. You know, who's rattling his whatever?
That was me. I'm sorry.
That was
I had
you.
to move something.
Oh, okay.
So, Ray,
wait a minute. Did I see Jeff's hand up? Did you put your hand up, Jeff?
Yeah, I did. I think I was very interested to watch the children speaking today. And some of them are quite articulate, and some of them are
kids,
just emotional and kids. And, you know, and I have kids and teenagers, so I'm very familiar with that, my grandkids. But I think that this is a one-day accomplishment, which is good for them and hopefully for us.
Well, there's another one coming up in about a month, you know.
I was going to say it's going to have to be, you know, some more and more accomplishments, and then ultimately it's got to really affect people voting. And that's going to be the big change.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is about these kids is that I always have said that demonstrating is for young people, because old people don't. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so the fact that they're getting out in these numbers is very heartening, you know, and it shows a show of strength that that has not been represented by young people. Patrick had his hand up first, and then Phil.
But here's the thing. A lot of these are being organized by adults, and the kids are following suit. Are the kids able to do this on their own and maintain the same emotion and the same wherewithal to do this? Or are they going to be like typical teenagers? And today was it was a group think thing, and then in a month, some of them are still going to be interested, but it's going to be close to the summer, and they're going to be wanting to be at the beach, or they're going to be wanting to do this. And then by the time we reach this, you know, in August or the time school starts again, nobody going to give a shit.
Only time will tell, Patrick, but I hope that that doesn't happen, that they maintain this fervor. and a lot of them still. I think the next demonstration, the big one, the national demonstration that's going to take place, is going to be very successful. Now, what goes on beyond that? You may have a good question. Yeah. Yes, Phil.
You know, I think it was '68. I participated in the first Earth Day walkout, and you know that was when all the students across the nation they had this thing called Earth Day, which you know probably John remembers.
I remember.
And, you know, and here it is. You know, almost 50 years later, or 40 years later, and you know, we've got plastic balls in our ocean. We've got global warming. We've got all of this stuff, and my generation has done nothing but contribute to the disaster that's out there. Mm-hmm. And I have a feeling that the same nothing is going to happen over guns, as Patrick said, as the Earth Day provided for my generation.
Yes, Ray.
Okay, so Phil, I need to remind you that did help fix the ozone layer. So that's one thing that did get changed from that movement. What? Well, I mean, worldwide. I mean, we don't have an ozone problem anymore. And if we did, we'd all be living underground. And the other, Patrick, I just wanted to say that the school, the high school that my son goes to, the whole thing was organized by the kids. There was no adults involved. In fact, the school sent out an email to all the parents saying that everyone was going to have an absence marked, and they were not really supporting it much at all. And they had no involvement in it. It was all the kids.
Well, also, let me mention one other thing that I read today. That what was it? What's the set of cable networks? Discovery. They have about 5 different channels. They took them all off the air for 17 minutes today in honor of this particular action. And yeah, you say, okay, that's really easy. That's just. They also sent to whatever organization there is to create this demonstration that's going to be happening next month, $500,000, $500,000. What?
Somebody else sent $1 million.
What did you say? What did you say?
Oprah.
Yeah.
Oprah has sent a lot of money to support those kids,
and I think so is George Clooney and a few other people.
Wait a minute.
Let me finish. Yes. Well, the point is, the adults are staying away, but they're giving them the funds to be able to activate this thing. So that's a perfect union.
Yeah.
Yes, Jeff.
I think the kids are going to motivate their parents, their uncles, their older brothers and sisters, and they're going to force them to vote, even though some of those teenagers can't vote.
Well, you would think,
but they can motivate a lot of.
You would think that somebody like Fox or a naysayer would try and find some kids who disagree with this, and there don't seem to be any kids that disagree with this because they all know their lives are at stake.
Nope.
Yes.
Nope.
Yep. Let's see here, Patrick.
We had a high school here in Wisconsin, actually very close to me, where they had 2 demonstrations going on. One was for, the whatever the hell gun control thing, and the other was pro-Second Amendment. So I thought that was good, because if we're going to have free speech, they should allow the kids that don't agree with it to have their own rally just the same. They did, and there was no bullshit either. So I was glad to see that. And one school district, they shut down all of the schools because some fucking idiot kid sent an email to the administrators and said, today it's going to be worse than Columbine and Florida combined if you go through with this demonstration. So they shut down the whole school district just out of precaution.
Yeah. Renee has her hand up, and then John.
Okay, Patrick, and I can't find the data, so you guys are going to have to look this one up. It's been 45 days so far. Okay, so one of the big deals why this might not go away is the fact that every 45 days we have a mass shooting. It's that pervasive now. So knowing that fact, I think it's going to be shoved in everybody's face all the time, and I think that's what these kids are going to do, and I think it's a great thing.
Okay, John had his hand up next.
Yeah, before I came on the show, I was watching a video on YouTube, and before the video played, there was a huge NRA commercial about kind of a soldier of fortune, buffed guy, and he's got an array of rifles, including assault rifles and shotguns and old Russian rifles, and he's demonstrating all of them, and he's saying how all of these have a different purpose, and he started speaking derisively about the anti-gun people, that they want all your guns. So I was wondering if you all have seen that, or see, they're smart. They're waging their battle now on the internet that most kids use, which is online video. You could see these videos on your smartphone. So I hope the millions of dollars that Oprah or whomever is giving to this cause is going to also produce short ads that go on YouTube, Twitter, everywhere. They got to fight the NRA back. Play their own game.
But we need to email to YouTube and to Apple and say, you know what, get this. If I am signed in as myself, I don't want to see any NRA shit come across. If I am signed in as Renee Collins, I don't want to see one bit of crap from those people.
Phil has his hand up, then Ray.
All right. Just let me preface this by saying, don't all jump on me. I know none of you agree with my position on this, but let me state it.
Okay.
See, everybody, these kids that are marching and are getting the press right now feel that guns are the problem. And I, as well as probably the NRA, feel that the schools are sitting ducks for these people that go in there and start shooting them up because they know they're not going to meet any resistance. And so if I'm wrong, we'll find out very shortly, because they're putting guns in schools, whether it's the janitor or wait a minute, Renee. But you see what they're if this is my theory, and the theory of many other people that believe that if the schools weren't sitting ducks, then they wouldn't go in and do these kinds of shootings in the schools, because they feel that they can get away with it and they won't meet any resistance, kind of like a bully.
Okay, and, we have a lot of hands up here.
All right.
Okay, first Bobby Berth, then Renee, then Rob. Yes, Bob.
My eyes just rolled into the back of my head.
I knew they would.
So far this week, 2 teachers have shot up some students with their guns going off.
One in Sand City.
And one of them...
Seaside.
There was also a
trained
police officer in one of the schools.
No, he was a reserve police officer and the mayor pro tem of Seaside.
Well trained.
Well, he shouldn't have had his finger on the trigger.
What are those things called? Because that's going to be my next point. What are those things called when you're really bad at shooting? The cops are only 35% accurate in their shooting. What is that called? Crossfire. Okay, so here's the deal. Number one, those kids aren't going to that school. Those young adults are not going to that school because it's a gun-free zone. Those people are hell-bent because they're mentally disturbed, and they're going back to get revenge on the people that they justly or unjustly feel that they
know they won't meet any resistance.
Okay. Rob has.
There was a gun on the premises.
Okay.
There was a gun on the premises,
all right.
So that's not true.
All right.
And number 2, you guys aren't even accurate with your fucking guns.
Rob has his hand up. Rob has the floor.
Your theory has a big hole in it. How many of these gunmen, kids, whomever, go into these schools and walk out alive?
Very few.
Oh, this last guy did.
No,
they usually kill themselves.
Right? So they're expecting to die. They don't give a crap if there are guns in school. It's not going to stop anything.
Good point. Good point, Rob.
I agree.
But you got military bases. They don't have guns. It didn't stop So what I'm saying is,
wait. Military bases don't have guns?
Right.
Are you nuts?
No.
What military base have you been on?
Where was that guy in? I think
doctor?
It was Maryland. He was a psychiatrist, and he shot almost 30 people.
Yeah, but it wasn't because they didn't have guns on the
No,
premises. They didn't have guns.
They didn't have any guns.
They didn't have guns nearby.
So then you're saying there should be guns in movie theaters, and there should be guns in restaurants, and there should be guns everywhere. That's the whole thing. So we're going to be like...
They used to have a name for that, where there were guns in the coffee shop, and there were guns in the bars, and there were guns. It was called Dodge City. It was called Dodge City.
Yeah.
Tombstone.
It's not civilized society.
Deadwood, Colorado.
Yes. Well, let's see here. Who had his hand up first? This is Patrick.
Yeah, Phil, and Alex, the guns were on the base, but they were locked up, and the service members were not allowed to carry while on base. And in some instances now, they've changed that policy depending on what base they're at.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Renee.
Not to pick on Phil or Patrick, but I think they are representative of this first question, and that is most people who have guns are not paid NRA members. Is that correct, Phil?
I don't know. I just paid.
No. We don't want to hear about your wonderful contribution to a bunch of assholes. Okay.
Right.
I want to protect the Second Amendment.
I want to eliminate it. I want this country to go through a period of trying to repeal the Second Amendment.
Well,
okay.
Do.
And the second point to this is, if you people who want guns everywhere, then you guys are going to be responsible. And I have no idea why the governor of Florida or the Democratic candidate for Florida hasn't said this. The NRA should pay for every single security upgrade in every single school across the United States.
Renee, I am for the 21-year-old purchase. I am for the things that the state of Florida has passed, plus a few other things.
Pay for it.
But I'm also, wait a minute, I'm also for the NRA. I'm also for the NRA challenging that, and for the court to decide that it's okay.
You want to keep the guns on the streets, then you need to
Okay. Rob had his hand up.
So I have to go back to your statement, Phil, because you're talking out of both sides of your mouth there. You're saying you're for the 21-year-old rule that was passed.
I'd like to make it 25.
Well, then you're saying you're for the NRA fighting that.
Yes.
I don't get that.
No, I am for them fighting it because I want it to be proved in court that it is legal and that other states can get behind it. I want it to be challenged, and I want the challenge to stand.
And I want the Second Amendment repealed.
I would rather see it 25-year-old, not 21.
I want to repeal the Second Amendment, so let's start a movement.
I would like to see the governor, every Democrat or independent governor of in the United States, to say now that the NRA should pay for these upgrades.
Okay, end of discussion, because it's end of show. I got to get out of here. Otherwise, the next guy's going to...
It's a Phil-free Friday.
Really?
But, I'm photographing a concert.
Yeah, but then we don't do a show Monday. And when's your operation?
Monday.
So you're not going to be able to do the show Tuesday.
Well, I do a short appearance. I'll be home. I might have to be standing.
Hey, Phil, we'll wish you the best of luck then tomorrow. You know how I feel about it. I want the best for you. Rob, thank you so much for joining us tonight. As to Phil, thank you as well. Kevin, always good to see you, my bearded friend. My other bearded friend, Jeff. I'm growing a beard. Does anybody know? No, I guess not. Ray, thank you so much for your participation tonight. Always appreciated. Same to you, Bob Eberth, and to Patrick, and to John Peroulis, who is a nightly feature on this show, and I love it. And, of course, Renee, who's been here a lot, and we appreciate that, too. We need the feminine voice on this show. everybody, I think it would be nice if you wave goodbye, and we'll say goodnight to you. Thanks for joining us. And that's our Citizens Panel, ladies and gentlemen. You know them collectively as the Citizens Panel. You know them individually as a bunch of very bright individuals who love nothing more than the art of discussion, something that you can involve yourself in if you ever want to call this program. Please do it. Anyway, I'm Alex Bennett. I got to get out of here. The Intersection is next with Jack and Amy. That's followed at 1 o'clock this morning, Eastern Daylight Time, by Connections tomorrow night. At 9:30, it's Damien and The Exchange, and then I'll be here again tomorrow night. Same time, same station in life. In the meantime, if you see her, you know what? Tell her I love her, damn it.